Welcome to Active Stretching for Everybody. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do active stretches for the lower legs. The 6 different stretches that I will show you are good for preventing and also for healing medical conditions of the lower leg, including shin splints, plantar fasciitis, and ankle sprains and strains. The calf muscles are probably the most important muscles that we'll stretch, and there are 2 calf muscles. We're also going to stretch the tibialis anterior or shin muscle, which is in the front of your shin, and we're also going to stretch the ankle muscles, inside muscles, and the outside muscles, and somewhat stretch the foot muscles as well. We're going to very specifically stretch the calf muscles. You have 2 calf muscles. Both of them take you up on your toes as you walk or run or jump. And those 2 calf muscles are the gastrocnemius or gastroc. That's the one that you see. That's the big fat muscle that comprises the bulk of what you see in your calf. But underneath there lies a second calf muscle, the soleus. And that's a really important muscle, and I'll talk more about that later. But both of them together create what we know as our calf. Both muscles attach on your heel by way of the Achilles tendon. Let's look at the calf muscles first. They're the muscles that we think of when we think of lower leg stretching, but there are lots of other muscles that have to be stretched as well. The gastrocnemius or gastroc is the muscle that we think of when we think of the calf because it's the one we see. It's the one on the surface, and it has the big fat bulge of a muscle, the muscle belly, here at the calf. It has 2 bellies, one on each side, and that's what I've represented here by these 2 red stripes. Both of them attach on the bottom of the femur, the thigh bone. One attaches up here, the second belly attaches up here. Both of them come down, both bellies come down. They become the Achilles tendon, which is what I've shown here in white, and they attach here on the heel. And together, those 2 bellies of the gastrocnemius take you up on your toes. But underneath there, underneath that gastroc muscle, is a second muscle, the soleus, which a lot of people don't even know about. And it attaches here on the lower leg, right about in through here, but it's underneath. It comes down underneath these 2 bellies of the gastroc. It joins and becomes the Achilles tendon as well, so it also attaches here on the heel. That also raises you up on your toes. So both of those muscles do exactly the same thing. However, they do it in different ways, and they do it under different conditions. The way that these calf muscles work: when your leg is straight, your gastrocnemius, the big one that attaches up here on the upper leg, takes you up on your toes. So when your leg is straight, it crosses the knee joint. It also crosses the ankle joint. So as a result, we're going to have to stretch these muscles in 2 different ways, because they cross 2 different joints, and we've done that in some other stretches as well. So the gastrocnemius crosses the knee joint, and when your leg is straight, it takes you up on your toes. When the knee is bent, because this is slack from here to here, as far as that muscle is concerned, the muscle that's attached underneath here takes you up on your toes. So that when you go through a step, when you're stepping, going up on your toes to push back, to go forward, your brain had to figure out as a baby which muscle to contract in which order and how much to contract to get you to learn how to walk. And so that's what practice is all about. That's what repetition is all about. And I've talked about that in other videos. So your 2 muscles of your calf do the same action, but they do them at different times and under different conditions. While we're here, let's talk about the soleus some more. The soleus is one of the most important muscles of your body, and it's also one of the most important muscles to keep stretched. The reason for that is that it is sometimes referred to as the heart muscle or the second heart muscle, because it is the muscle, we're talking about the soleus, the one underneath here. The soleus muscle, by its muscle contractions, is what pumps blood from your foot up your leg back to your heart. Your heart is not strong enough to do that, and gravity is always pulling your blood down to your ankles and foot again. It's the contraction of the soleus muscle that pumps the blood back up to your heart. And it's assisted by the fact that the blood vessels that take your blood back to your heart have valves in them that only allow the blood to go in one direction. So if you don't have any movement, the blood just stands there. It just sits there. And if you stay there long enough, you end up with blood clots. This is what happens if you sit too long. A perfect example is transatlantic flights. People that sit on the airplane for the whole 6 hours or 7 hours or sometimes longer than that if it's a really long flight, if they don't move, what can happen is that because the blood is not moving, because they haven't contracted those soleus muscles on the two legs, blood clots form, and the flight ends, they get off the plane, they go to their hotel, and sometimes they drop over dead, or they have a heart attack or they have a stroke, because blood clots have formed because of the lack of movement. This is another great reason why we should always keep movement into our daily activity. Simply walking is one of the best ways, but certainly the stretching that I'm going to show you is an even better way. So this is another reason why if you sit for a long time, whether it's at the computer or on a transatlantic flight or sitting on a plane or a train or driving, anytime you're sitting for a long period of time, you want to somehow move those muscles. The best thing is to get up and walk around. But if you can't move by walking around, for example, if you're on a transatlantic flight, one of the things that you can do is, if this is my foot, what you can do is sit there on the plane and go up on your toes and down on your heels and lift your toes and do this action because your knees are already bent. You're going to target that soleus muscle. So you're going to get that pumping action. And the more you do it, the better off you're going to be. And you're going to prevent those blood clots from happening. Next, we'll look at the shin muscle. The shin muscle, technically known as the tibialis anterior, attaches here on your tibia, which is the big bone of your lower leg. You have two bones here. It attaches here on the outside of your shin, comes down, attaches here on the top of your foot, and wraps around onto the bottom. So it's the muscle that brings your foot up. It's the muscle that, if you have tight calf muscles, will give you shin splints. That's generally the reason we get shin splints. It's because the calf muscles are too tight. And if you look at your calf, you'll see that the calf muscles are really big compared to the muscle here in front, which is just a little narrow muscle. So that's the muscle there. So that's another muscle that we're going to stretch. We're also going to stretch the muscles that attach on the outside of your leg, and they attach from here, go down behind your ankle bone and underneath and form an outside arch. You have muscles on the inside that come down, go behind your ankle bone on the inside, and form the big arch on the inside of your foot. So we'll stretch those too. To stretch the lower leg muscles, we need a rope. So I'm going to take the rope, put the midpoint of the rope on the ball of my foot, take it one end one more time around, and put my leg flat onto the table here that I'm resting on. Remember that we're going to stretch the gastrocnemius first. The gastrocnemius attaches to the heel, comes up and attaches to the lower part of the upper leg, and it crosses the knee joint. So to get that into a stretch, our leg has to be straight. I'm going to start at neutral. Neutral is my foot is at a right angle to my leg, same as if I were standing. To stretch this muscle, since this gastrocnemius that I'm going to stretch takes me onto my toes, I'm going to contract the shin muscle, the tibialis anterior, which does the opposite action. So the stretch is, I'm going to exhale, contract this muscle, give a good assist with the rope, and inhale back to neutral. So it's exhale, foot back, assist. You want to keep a straight back. If you have trouble doing that, one of the things you can do is sit against a wall. Sit on the floor and sit against a wall. So I'm exhale, inhale back to neutral. Exhale, I'm contracting this shin muscle. And with these calf muscles, I can give a good, strong assist. These calf muscles are really strong, and we're not likely to hurt ourselves doing really forceful assists on this. This is not true with any of the other muscles of the body, but calf muscles are generally really strong. And I generally do 10 repetitions of this. And then I'm going to take the rope in two hands, and I'm going to stretch the outside of my ankle by rotating my foot inward, by contracting the inside of my ankle muscles. So I'm taking the outside edge of my foot away from me and into the inside or to the midline of my body. I'm assisting with the inside rope. I'm keeping the outside rope just tight enough so that the rope doesn't slide around my foot. And again, I'm going to do about 10 repetitions of this. I'm holding again, 1.5 to 2 seconds. And then I'm going to do the stretch the inside ankles by contracting the outside ankle muscles and assisting with the outside rope. This may feel really strange to you. It may take a while for your brain to even figure out, how do I do this? So I'm exhale, contract, give an assist. I'm keeping this rope just tight enough so that the rope doesn't slide around my foot. And again, I would do about 10 repetitions. While I have the rope in my hand, I'm going to put the rope on the second foot and do the same stretch. I'm not going to demonstrate that again. This is the efficient way to do these lower leg stretches. So I would do this leg, do the same thing. Gastroc stretch, outside and inside ankle stretch. Then I'm going to put my rope aside and I'm going to focus on the soleus muscle. Remember, the soleus muscle is underneath. It's attaching here, going down, becoming the Achilles tendon, and attaching on my heel. If you notice the gastroc, if I straighten my leg, it's tight. As soon as I bend at the knee, because it's attached up here, it's soft now. So I can now target the muscle underneath. I'm not going to get any stretch whatsoever on my gastroc. I'm only going to get stretch on the soleus. So you have to have your knee bent, and a right angle is what I suggest. You have to have that gastroc on slack to be able to target the soleus. Remember, that's the really important one, to be stretched. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing as I did with the rope. I'm going to exhale, bring my foot up. Now I can use my hands and I can give a really good assist. I'm also, if I get out into the tips of my toes, I can get a good stretch on the sole of my foot as well. I'm again holding 1.5 seconds. I'm exhaling as I contract this shin muscle and then give the assist. And then remember, I said both of those muscles, the gastrocnemius and the soleus muscle, become the Achilles tendon and then attach to your heel. To stretch the Achilles tendon, I'm going to stay in this position and bring my heel back to as close to my butt as I can bring it. Do the same stretch. I'm going to bring my foot up, grab underneath, and give a really good assist with my hand. So now you should be able to feel that from this stretch, when you were stretching the soleus, you should feel the stretch in here. When I bring my heel back, you should feel the stretch down here in your ankle, because you're stretching the Achilles tendon. And I would now do the second leg soleus stretches by right angle, and then Achilles tendon stretch, like so. And we have one more muscle, one more really important muscle to stretch, and that's the shin muscle, the tibialis anterior. It's attaching here, coming down the outside of my shin, attaching here on the top of the foot, and going down under where the arch is. So to stretch that, I'm going to cross one leg over the other. I'm going to now contract my calf muscle. My calf muscle does the opposite of what this muscle does. This muscle does this, calf muscle does that. So I'm going to contract my calf muscle, exhale, point my toes, and give a good assist with my hand. And I want to do that assist in a straight line with my shin bone. Don't take your foot down like this or up like this, because we already stretched the outside and the inside of the ankle. You don't want to stretch that again. We want to target this muscle that's right in the middle. So it wants to be a complete straight line. So exhale and assist. And again, I would do about 10 repetitions. So here are 6 stretches that you can do for the lower legs. These are really important stretches, particularly if you're doing a lot of walking or if you're doing a lot of running. Also, if you're doing a lot of sitting, because those muscles do get tight, same as the hamstrings get tight from sitting. I hope these stretches for the lower legs have been really helpful for you. I know they can save you a lot of heartaches, and hopefully, if you have any of the conditions that I've mentioned, such as plantar fasciitis or shin splints or ankle sprains, these stretches will help you. And the way that they can be used, first of all, as I said, they can be used as prevention of all those conditions. But if you have one of those conditions, the best way to improve them, to speed up healing, is to do the stretches that I just showed you, but do them often. Don't increase the repetitions. That will make your condition worse. Start off actually with just a few repetitions, like maybe 5 or 6 instead of 10, but do it often. And by that, I mean many times during the day. You can do it as often as every 20 minutes, because what you want to do is you want to remind the muscle to heal. You want to remind the muscle what is normal, and then give that muscle the time to process the information that you've given it. So you do the stretch, you wait for 20 minutes, and maybe you only do the calf stretches. Maybe that's what your problem is. Let's say you have tight calf muscles. You do the 2 calf muscles, you wait for 20 minutes, and then you do it again. Now, ideally, you would do it every 20 minutes all of the time that you're up. That's not going to happen. I know that. We all have lives to live. But if you do have the time, let's say you're sitting watching television, certainly you can do these stretches as you are watching television. Once you've done them for a few times, you don't have to think about every movement that you're doing. You don't have to think about your breath. You don't have to think about the assists. You don't have to think about the timing of how long am I holding this. It will become natural by doing it over and over again. Practice. Remember, I said practice and repetition. So do that, and that will help you to heal many, many, many times faster than anything else. If you have any questions about this group of stretches or any of the other stretches that I've given you on other videos, please contact me, or what you can do is leave a comment below with a question, because when you do that, I'm notified that you've left a comment or a question, and I can respond to you right here. I also, if you liked the video, I ask that you press the like button, which is the thumbs up. If you didn't like it, do the thumbs down, but I hope you didn't not like it. So thank you for watching, and keep stretching.